and welcome to In-Game Chat for Saturday, September 19th, 2015. This is Season 9, Episode 38. I'm Scott.
I'm RJ.
And I'm Nathan.
And if you're watching on Twitch, you'll see we got a space there for James. He's going to be joining us probably for the second hour. He may show up in the middle of the first hour, something like that, but should be here for the second hour. Welcome to the show, everyone. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our phone number is 334-272-9228. 334-272-9228. Head on over to ingamechat.net. You'll get all the links where you can get in touch with us. You want to find us on Twitter? You can. We're at In-Game Chat. You want to find us on Facebook? Just look for us the same way. You can email us, everyone, at ingamechat.net. Love to hear from you. And we're streaming right now on Twitch, like I said before. All you have to do is go to twitch.tv, and then do a search for In-Game Chat, and you'll be able to find us there. And join in the chat room while we broadcast. You can chat with everybody who's in there. And you can watch us and listen to the show there as well. Tons of ways to get us, tons of ways to watch us. And don't forget, if you miss a show or you aren't able to make it to a live show and you're listening to it now on iTunes, there's also our YouTube channel that you can head on over to, and you can watch past shows, you can watch where we played games, all sorts of videos that we put up there. I haven't done a mailbag in a while, but hey, if you send us mail, then I'll do a mailbag. We'll do another mail video thing.
Is that how that works?
Sure. Yeah, really. Oh. I think it is.
Okay.
Now, yeah. Just send us a message on Twitter. We'll do a mailbag. No. Yeah, just send us an email. We'll cover it in a video. If you're asking us questions, or really anything, just send us email. I might do a weekly thing where I just read the emails that we get each week, and then answer anybody that has questions, or just thank everybody for writing in. So
even if you yell at us,
yeah, if you yell at us, if you got a problem with what we do, that's fine. Go ahead and send it, and we'll
delete it.
Yeah, we'll do that as well.
Make a theme song to it too.
We could do that. Welcome to the show, everyone. Wanted to start. Oh, don't forget our Patreon page, patreon.com/ingamechat, if you would like to support what we do, and even if you don't, feel inclined to, send us anything from Patreon, we do appreciate you listening and checking out the show. So thank you very much. We are gonna talk about Destiny today, but I kind of want to wait for James to be here when we do. Otherwise, we'll be covering the same material probably when he gets. I don't know. I think we could fill the entire 2 hours of talking about Destiny with as much as they've done and as much as changed. What a difference a year makes. But see, RJ is dipping his toe into the Destiny pool a little bit, and I think James would like to get your opinion on that. And so I'd like him to be here for that whenever we do that. So we're going to try and set aside the Destiny. We're going to try to set aside the Destiny talk. I'm not saying we're going to be able to, because unfortunately, it's all I've been doing. So when we go over the coverage of, hey, what have you been playing? That's all I've been playing. I don't know about you, Nate. I know you've been playing when you can. You've been playing Destiny. You did get the Taken King though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it only cost me $20, so.
That's right. You did. How did you?
I traded in a couple things at Best Buy
and got a PSN card or something like that. Yeah.
So it was a little less than $20.
Yeah.
So that was okay.
No, that's great. Will you be on tonight? What are you got to work tonight? What's going on?
I plan to play tonight.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's good. It's again, trying not to talk too much about it, but look where it's got. I've seen my friends list on PlayStation Network just start to repopulate itself, and Destiny, in orbit, Social Strike, whatever, all these things popping up now, where people are playing. And it's been really nice to see that again. And I haven't been. I don't want to say obsessed, because I'm not really obsessed, but I haven't had that urge of like, boy, I can't wait to get off work so I can go home and start doing my daily bounties and all this other stuff that you have to do in Destiny. It's been a long time since I've been excited to get home and play a game from work, or stay up extremely late and play a game like I did last night. Put in a session until about 3:30 this morning. Well, I got carried away. James and I were playing, and we got done at about 12:30, I think. something like that. But I was still, I was still hanging around. There was a guy online, Jason is his name, and he had sent me some messages a week ago and then this week, just saying, hey, I keep hearing you guys talk about Destiny. If you guys need a third or need some help running raids or anything like that, give me a message. And then he sent another message earlier this week, and I just hadn't responded to him. And I saw that he was on, so I popped into his fire team. I popped into his chat, said hello, and we ran some more stuff until 3:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Just fantastic. Just time went away. As good games are usually, that usually happens with a real good game. Time will just escape from you. This morning this morning, whatever. I didn't get up this morning. I got up at like 11:30 this morning.
Still morning.
It was still morning, but I got into Destiny at about 12:30.
Last night?
No.
Yeah,
This morning.
this
This afternoon.
Okay.
This afternoon. I got into Destiny about 12:30. I said, let me just go ahead and go to the tower, get my bounties, just have all that stuff done. So when I get back on tonight after the show, I won't have to make a trip to the tower. I won't have to do any of that. I can just go where I need to go. But I said, I'm not going to leave to head into the station until probably around 2 or 2:30. So set a little timer on my phone so that it wouldn't get away from me, so that it would go off at an hour and a half and let me know that, hey, time to go. And I said, all right, got some bounties. Let me go do them. I knocked out every single bounty, which is what?
6.
How many? 6?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knocked out all 6 bounties within like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It was really easy. I took care of some other lingering bounties that I had left over as well.
Yep.
Like 45 minutes. Took no time. That's fun. I like that. I like that I can jump in and get a lot of stuff taken care of in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff taken care of in 45 minutes.
Coming from MMOs of when WoW was really bad with doing dailies and stuff like that, it gets fun until it's not fun.
True.
It does become like a little. Then Dusty's a little different because it's not the exact same thing every day, but it.
Well, it is. This is the second or third day in a row that we've had the one where you have to kill 50 Vex enemy types.
I hate this thing.
Yeah.
They're not hard to kill.
But luckily I had that and precision kills and a couple of other things that could all just be done on top of each other, which is why I got through with them so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I like stuff that I can do. Mad Max has the same mechanic where there's so much to do on the map that I can jump in and say, you know what, today I'm just going to go take out all the towers. And then
Have you ever touched The Witcher again?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't. That's a shame too. I really should.
Yeah, you should.
The Witcher's The Witcher's a bit more involved.
Not really.
Well, currently it is for me.
Okay.
Because of where I left off. I'm in the middle of whatever. I just made it out of that little town, and so I got to.
You've done nothing.
I've done absolutely nothing. I have a lot to actually go through just to get the game started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've put in. I had checked Thursday. I had played for about an hour and a half, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm getting pretty far. So I looked into I had like the strategy guide or whatever. I'm at like 12%.
Yeah.
I feel like I've put in 8 or 9 hours. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? And then the expansions come here. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've got to put more time into this, which I still have. I pretty much only play Destiny if you guys are on now that I'm leveled up.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean, it's like we said it's like we said last week. And I've heard a lot of people when we're playing together, or when I'm popping in a public room, or a chat channel on PS4, where even when you don't have anything to do, just going around and shooting is still satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, it is fun.
Still
it's a
good.
great shooter.
Still good to kill, to kill an hour or something like that. So I am not putting anything against Witcher. I know I played Witcher and tried to play Witcher 2, and I put in some time with Witcher 3. No, I know that game is going to sit in. That game's going to sit there for until about the winter months probably. probably around December or something like that is probably when I'll.
When it looks outside like it does in game.
True.
You want to feel that,
That's a good way to put it. That's a great way to put it. I've said this before, I enjoy playing games that mimic the season that I'm I'm playing
like
them
Batman
in.
did.
It's what I loved about Batman.
Yep. Screwed it up.
November they had Arkham Origins release, and that game was set on Christmas Eve, and let me tell you, Christmas Eve I played that game, and it was fun to play that game on Christmas Eve. And it was fun just to play whenever the weather's cold. Arkham City gave a sense of cold. Didn't really. I don't know that it said when it took place.
It was kind of Christmassy.
No, it had no seasonal thing other than it being very cold.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess it's still kind of
because the thugs talked about it being cold. That was it. So, I have no idea about Arkham Asylum. I think also took place then because in the fall or the cold or something like that. So and
yeah, that was fall.
Yeah, Arkham Knight takes place on Halloween, and originally was supposed to release in October, and then they pushed it back. And to be honest with you, the PC game still hasn't released because it's not on Steam.
Yeah, they're waiting for October.
Yeah, they've got a couple more weeks to push that out. But God, it sucks. They just highlighted another DLC pack, which is fine because the console folks, yay for you. PC folks, you're not getting it. We're going to get a massive amount of. I don't know how they're going to roll out the DLC.
It's free.
What if you paid for it? Screwed.
Get free games.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they did with Assassin's Creed, isn't it?
That's what Ubisoft did with Assassin's Creed.
But I'm saying they're probably going to follow the same.
We'll see what Warner Brothers is going to do. I don't necessarily know that they care.
It's true.
But yeah, back to my point being is that Mad Max has a lot of places on the map where you can just go do stuff, and you can pick one classification of things to do. The sniper towers, the regular towers. I'm going to take over a camp or something like that. I'm just going to pop in. Maybe I'm going to pop in and just map out the area and drive around for a while. You can do that as well. So there's plenty of options that you can have in that game, and just to kill some time. If you want to do that. I like games that do that. Witcher doesn't mean that I don't like Witcher, but for Witcher and really for Metal Gear, I guess, Metal Gear 5, since there's so much to do.
I'm glad I didn't touch that game. I want to, but I'm
setting it aside, obviously.
I'll wait.
I'm actually more excited to get back into Witcher. Once this Destiny thing has done its thing.
Now you've played both, right?
This
is a little off topic, but
MGS5 and Witcher? Yeah.
Which one looks better? Considering you can play them both at max.
Probably have to say Witcher.
Witcher, okay.
Metal Gear Solid has its moments where it can look like, especially cutscenes for Metal Gear Solid 5. It's from what I've seen blow Witcher out of the water. But then again, I kind of like that style, the way he does the direction for those cutscenes and stuff, how he does those things. Because going back into just Ground Zeroes and watching that opening title.
I hope they look good if they're 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They kind of have to be.
And real quick, RJ, have you played The Witcher at all?
No, I haven't.
Do you ever plan to? Like if it's $20? No? Okay.
No, I haven't had any inkling or desire to. How I get it's like I look at the game, I think about it, and if I don't feel anything for it, I just leave it aside. So a lot of games I haven't played because of that feeling.
Yeah, it's understandable.
I prefer Witcher as far as looking better. As far what was your question specifically was which one looks better?
I mean, you answered it pretty good.
Yeah, but Witcher has so much more variety to look at.
Yeah.
MGS5 so far, again, I'm not very far in. So far, it's you're in Afghanistan, and it's I'm about to say it's a nice shade of sand, of a brown yellowish tone. Yet, Mad Max takes place in the wasteland, and it has a very, very brown tone, but I have no problem with it for whatever reason.
Wasn't Killzone like that? I think James was talking about that a while ago, how dark and brown it was, but that wasn't really an issue for him.
I'm not sure.
Because it didn't take away from the enjoyment of the game.
Yeah,
it may have been Killzone,
I think it was.
I don't remember.
Because the game is dark blue and brown.
But Witcher's got some really Witcher's got some great scenery. I remember taking some screenshots from that.
The
Just really good.
Only thing I wish I could change on The Witcher is the trees. They annoy the heck
Because
out
they
of me.
move too much?
Hurricane.
I know.
It's so
I always think a storm's
annoying.
coming when I was playing. It's like, oh, look, wind's picking up. No, actually, it's just
I don't
the
know
wind.
how they can change that. Like it's just the reason it's annoying is because it'll be a cutscene, and because they're live action cutscenes almost always. Like there'll be a guy that's just standing there talking, and you just see the trees. like a hurricane's coming through. It's a nice sunny day, but the trees, I mean, they're wobbling really bad. It's just like, I mean,
Kind of distracting.
They need to cut it down at a minimum 50%. That's how bad they move. Like, it's bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's go to Chris. Let's not keep him waiting as we
Yes.
normally do here. Let's go to the phones and talk to Chris. Hey, Chris, thanks for calling in. What's up?
Not much. I finished playing Fallout last Saturday after the show, and then speaking of Witcher 3, I finished it up a couple days later as well. So now I'm working through Dying Light to finish its story.
So
Man is knocking out some games.
how many hours total did it take you to finish Witcher?
Oh, shoot. I was playing it like crazy before Elder Scrolls Online came through, and then I went back and finished it up, but I'd say it's about a good 50 or 60 hours.
Gosh.
Of course, I was going through and doing everything, doing all the quests and exploring too, but, it was fun.
Yeah, it's definitely another one of those I can't help but like, oh, I'm just going to wander over here for a minute, and then I've
There's
done
time.
nothing.
Yeah, there's time. Exactly. I just get on the horse and go.
I know.
And
I hate
it's
the
just,
horse. Ugh. Stupid roach.
The horse is fine when you're on it. It was for me. But whenever I was off the horse and trying to walk around or whatever, and I'd call him, he'd come and just
Like, Roach, come over here. He's like a mile away. He's just standing there. Like,
yeah, there were
Sorry.
there were some issues with that, but yeah. So yeah, knocked out a pretty good bit of games there then.
Yep, hoping to knock out Dying Light. I'm about 75% through. That's what it
that's
says.
a good one.
That's another one. I got. There's so many.
That one I
different
made
games
sure I had to finish because I had to return it back to Best Buy, so I had to beat it in a week.
Oh yeah, you're still doing that Gamers Club thing.
Yeah.
That's still working out for you, huh?
Mhm.
That's great. That's great. Well, what? Anything else been going on, Chris?
I wonder if any else of y'all like to watch any kind of anime or Japanese anime, and if you do, what kind of favorite one are your favorite?
I'm not too much of a. Obviously I've seen some of the big classics like Akira, Vampire Hunter D, and what was the other one? Battle Angel, I think, is the other one that I've seen. Really not too much into it. Every now and again, I get an urge to try and watch Attack on Titan, and I'll get about 7 or 8 episodes in, and then I'll say, okay, I'll pick this up tomorrow, and I never get back into it. Not that it's not holding my interest; it totally is. I do want to finish that 20 some odd first season there, episode season, but I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, Vampire Hunter D. That's probably the one that started me off on all of it.
Sci-Fi Channel used to do anime weekends or something
And
like
that's
that.
where I saw it.
That's exactly where I first got my exposure to anime
The
from.
weekend of anime.
Yes,
I remember it was on the. Well, it was before Sci-Fi was the Action Channel, one of those cable networks. That's where I got a first taste of mine. I think it was Project Echo was the first one I watched ever, and it just.
I saw the titles in like my local video store, but I didn't know anything. I was like, okay, it for whatever reason didn't reach me. But
Yeah,
when-
sometimes the descriptions on the back just really doesn't.
yeah, when Sci-Fi
cover it
Channel did
well.
their anime weekend, I was like, okay, I'll sit down and watch whatever these things are, and that's where I saw Vampire Hunter D, and I saw a couple of others. I can't remember the names of them. That's the only one that still sticks out. But yeah, that's what got me started on it.
Yeah, I can't remember a lot of those old titles too, but I've seen a bunch of them and found different ones at video game stores or movie stores and just picked them up because you could look at the animation style and tell that they're pretty old and all. But yeah, that and then the remake that they did, they made another one, the Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, that was off of one of our other volumes too as well. That was pretty decent.
Want to say I've seen that.
I think I got that one.
Yeah, the original one, he had the long blue cape with the orange or yellow triangles at the bottom, and then the other one is mainly like his whole suit and outfit was mostly all black.
That game seems like, or that game, that series or that film. I don't know where it sits, but that seems like it would make a great game for Platinum to make.
Yeah, they did make one. The Vampire Hunter D on PlayStation 1 was based off the Bloodlust movie, the second one that they made for the anime movie. That's what it was based off of. But of course, the animation and videos in the game is pretty wretched. You know, that I don't think the PlayStation has enough power to pull off the scenes, the movie scenes and stuff that they put in there. But at least they tried.
Yeah. Was that an import or a domestic title?
It was domestic. It's kind of like Resident Evil, like, except for, swords, like Vampire Hunter D stuff.
Okay.
My history with anime is kind of weird. Do you remember seeing Gundam Wing or whatever?
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
I know about it, but I don't.
It was
I've
like
heard about it.
big robots, whatever.
Yeah.
But
one of those mech animes, yeah.
Yeah. With that, I watched one season of it, absolutely loved it. Started watching the next season, I was like, the show stinks. I never watched it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same thing happened with Dragon Ball Z. I watched the third season of Dragon Ball Z, watched the fourth, I was like, this show stinks. I never watched it again.
If you saw
This is the only two thing I've ever
I'm
watched.
sorry, if you saw the American version, it's funny how they did that one. It's like it takes 2 episodes to throw a punch. That's how
Yeah.
I mean they put
Yep.
so much filler and stuff inside that the
It's
plot
very
takes
true.
so slow to get to the point. And I know that turned a lot of folks off hearing that one as well.
But yeah, Gundam Wing was the closest I ever came to anime, and that's not even really anime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the other series that I watched was Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, yeah.
I do know that one. I
Yeah,
never watched it,
that's a
but I
good
know
one.
that one.
So
There was another one. One of my favorites, Ninja Scroll.
Oh,
Has
yeah,
anyone
that's
seen
a
that
good
one?
one.
Yeah, that's one
Ninja,
of them.
yeah, that's another one. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ninja
that's a
Scroll,
good one.
yeah.
Yeah, I let my folks watch that one. They like that one too.
Wow, nice.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we appreciate the call, Chris, as always. Thanks for calling in.
All right, y'all have a fun day.
You too.
You too. Take care.
If you'd like to get in touch with us and share your opinion, talk about anything, give us a call. 334-272-9228 is the number. Recently, you guys were about to talk about, well, before the show, you were asking RJ about the DLC
Bloodborne.
for Bloodborne.
Yes.
What's the situation with that? Did you were
Well, they originally announced that they had planned on doing 2 separate DLC packs, basically, 2 separate missions.
Yeah.
And then recently they had posted that they decided they're not going to do 2, that they're just going to do take both of those and put them into one big one. And they said it'd be like, I don't know, some people were saying like 8 to 10 hours of content or something.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at the video for it, someone hinted me to it. The Last Hunters looked like it's kind of like a prequel to what's going on, something after something that was going on that you would have to go through. But that was like I was saying, you would think if they just took that idea of 2 and turned it into 1, probably because they want to turn all their efforts to Dark Souls 3 as quick as they can.
Which
And I did.
I don't have an issue with
It'd
that.
probably more than because Dark Souls, I would imagine, is the more popular game.
Yeah,
And
more known.
that put them there, from their reputation really.
Plus,
So yeah,
Bloodborne's on one console
Mm-hmm.
too. So,
Exclusive, so yeah.
Do you have an issue with that? though?
No,
I
not
don't
really. I mean, I'll pick it up, but as soon as Dark Souls 3 comes out, I'll be jumping all over that.
what is there? Is that got a solid date on that, or is it just
The-
next year?
Which one?
Dark
Dark
Souls
Souls
3.
3.
I don't think Dark Souls 3.
I don't think it does either. Well, I don't know. It's next year. I know that. So as much as I
But
know about
the
it.
Bloodborne DLC is supposed to come out November 24th, and it's going to be, I think that's $25. What's 11.99 euros? I'm gonna go with $20, $25, somewhere around there.
I don't know. I was trying to think of something like a $15 or $10. I would guess. I don't know if it's bigger than that. Oh well,
It'll be somewhere.
somewhere in that range anyway.
But so you do plan on getting it? You said.
Yeah, I probably will be getting it.
Okay. And did you
Regardless.
find the Dark Souls release?
I think it says something along the lines of let's see,
I didn't even put you on the spot.
April of 2016, I believe.
But speaking of DLC, another game that's getting its little DLC pack coming out is Rocket League.
Oh,
It's getting another stadium and more cars and stuff for you to unlock.
I haven't played any. Look, I know it shouldn't.
I've only played one match.
I know it
so-
shouldn't hold me. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter that it is. I'm glad a game does hold my attention like Destiny does.
Why is it a bad thing?
I know exactly. I don't know
I mean,
why
I
I'm
understand,
treating
you
it like
know-
it is, but
Well, I mean, I think it's partially because it sort of has the Call of Duty rep, but I mean, yeah.
I don't necessarily know that it's got that. I think
Well, a lot of people don't like Bungie
Yeah, I
right
think
now.
a little bit of the sense is that I feel like I'm neglecting plenty of other titles that I should be playing, you know? You guys have just brought up a ton. Witcher 3. I brought up Mad Max that I'd like to get back into.
Rocket League.
Rocket League is another one. There's plenty. Dying Light. There's plenty for me to go back into that I'm not putting any time in because Destiny has got a pretty good grip on me right now. And it's gonna have that grip on me for a while. I like playing with other people. I really, really do. And this game provides that for me.
I will say I'd rather you hear that you have a game that you're really enjoying than, I'm in a funk. I don't know what to do.
Right, like I was a couple of weeks ago. Never how long ago it was.
Sounds so
where I was like, I haven't played a single, that
although
sort of thing.
when you don't play anything is when you have your longest rants.
Yeah, true. Very true. Let's go back to the phones. We've got W. Matthew hanging out. Hey, man.
First, to sort of point out Dark Souls 3 is actually March.
Oh, it's March of 2016.
March, okay.
So.
Yeah. And I guess since you kind of dived in and talked some of TGS stuff, I guess that's where we should start. I actually watched the Sony press conference.
What was your opinion? I didn't see much information come out of TGS other than I think some new what were some of the there were some new titles that were announced like Gravity Rush 2 and a few other things, but nothing really struck me as
Persona 5.
Yeah, nothing really struck me personally though.
Yeah, Gravity Rush 2, Gravity Rush being brought to the PS4, Persona 5 got its release date, at least for Japan, of summer 2016. I can't remember the name, which the name is kind of weird, but a couple of JRPGs were announced.
Right. Which is obviously it's not my wheelhouse too much, so I'm sure there were a lot of what was announced is probably, making quite a lot of people excited, but nothing that I saw really.
This is the Tokyo Game Show.
It is. I understand that. I understand that completely.
Really, the only thing that really seemed to get people really excited was the Persona 5 stuff, which was to be expected.
Yeah, and I'm not really even familiar with that sort of that game, that franchise. I'm not at all.
Yeah.
I don't even know what kind of game is that.
I would say it's a JRPG, but it's not. It's not actually that. It is a cross between a social sim and a dungeon crawler. Is the best way to describe it.
My only familiarity with Persona is the fighting games that came out with Persona 4 Arena.
I heard that's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I should give a quick explanation of what the game is. Basically, the game is split up into two parts. The game takes place over a year. You have 365 days to beat the dungeon, which is usually like 100 levels or whatever to clear. The sort of caveat to that is you have to actually maintain social relationships with characters in the game as well, because that's how you make your sort of attack stronger. Is besides leveling, you have to build up your social relationships with your friends. So you're juggling how much time should I put into clearing the dungeon versus building up your relationships.
So I can kind of see the draw then, or at least the hook.
Yeah, it is very much there's a term in game design called a scheduling challenge, or essentially where you're given a limited amount of time and your objective is to be able to do what you want to do in that limited amount of time.
It seems like a combination between a dating sim and like you said, a dungeon crawler. Is that accurate enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A dating sim and a dungeon crawler. Interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds like Tokyo's type of thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
If it's popular, it works. Why not have it?
Very much.
Something for everyone.
What was your big takeaway from TGS from that? I mean, what was your that's the highlight that got you excited?
I mean, that's really kind of it. Like, the thing about, I guess the only other interesting news was Tales of Vesperia is coming to PC, which is kind of nice. Like, if you look at TGS, it's mostly mobile stuff and handheld stuff, because I don't know if you've looked at the state of home consoles there, they're basically dead.
Pretty much.
Even the PS4 is doing really bad.
And stuff that's thriving over there is the handheld gaming or the mobile gaming? I mean,
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the handheld side, what is the dominant? Probably the 3DS, or is it the...
The 3DS.
Okay,
It's
that's what I figured.
doing okay there, where it's dead here, but yeah, it's 3DS.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. How's the Vita doing over there?
It's doing okay, for what I understand.
Yeah. Because
I guess if we're going to transition into the, mobile stuff, there is one piece of interesting news that came about a week prior to TGS, and that is Pokemon Go.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That I did hear about. I'm not even a Pokemon fan. But I like that little trailer they played for it.
It was unique.
I was like, okay, that's... there might be a hook there.
I'll sign up.
Might be a hook.
Get you a Charizard.
I've never played a Pokemon game.
I still have all my cards.
Never played again. Never.
Well, I guess I should sort of explain for the listeners. Basically, it's Ingress, but you actually have to do Pokemon battles as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not. Most of my exposure to Pokemon comes from when I worked at the movie theater and had to attach the trailers for the Pokemon, the first movie that they ever did.
Yeah,
I went and saw that.
Yeah, that was,
I got my card.
dude. I worked at the theater when we released that. Oh my God, kids are messy as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Cleaning up after that showing. Oh dear Jesus God, it was horrible.
Twizzlers everywhere.
No, it's just popcorn. Like, we ran out of so many little, they had those little cardboard kitty packs where there's like a little box,
And it had like the movie.
put some popcorn in there,
Yep,
a little
yep.
cup thing and some candy. And those
I remember
boxes and popcorn were everywhere. Just so, oh God. It was nasty.
Yeah. Basically, you go to a location, there's a Pokemon at that location, you battle it, and you capture it. Probably the most interesting thing I saw at that trailer was like, oh, you joined the raid for a special event.
Right,
and everyone
yeah.
has to work together to catch it.
Exactly. I'm telling you, I wasn't a Pokemon, but that one raised an eyebrow, man. That was like, oh, okay.
It's also, I use Ingress as the comparison because it's being made by literally the same company.
Well, I was about to say, does this have anything to do with that company that Nintendo partnered with that was announced like a year or two ago?
Has nothing. Nope. This is a company. I forget the company's name, but it was basically founded within Google and then became its own company.
Mm-hmm.
They are working with them. By the looks of it, this was done well before the DNA deal.
That's right, DNA. That's what it was.
It's a completely different company. They, by the looks of it, started this like significantly before that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what else? What else you got for us, man? What else is going on for you?
I've been, as far as games I've been playing because I got it on sale this week. Saints Row 4.
Nice. That's another one I need to go back to. That's one I never started, but I've got it.
You should, because it's basically the Crackdown sequel. Crackdown 2 should have been.
Nice. Nice to know.
As well as, like, because of the way it's set up, there are times where it is literally parodying a bunch of other games. Like, it parodies Metal Gear Solid, it parodies Streets of Rage, it parodies Tron, it parodies text adventures. Like, it's sort of like, it almost has this weird museum quality part of it because of all of the different games and game types it parodies.
It's kind of like National Lampoon's Saints Row 4.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm a fan. I've been a fan of Saints Row for a while now. I wasn't too much a fan of, or was it Saints Row? I think Saints Row 2 I was also a fan of, but 3 obviously really knocked it out of the park for them when they kind of fell into their own. Saints Row 1 was actually trying to be a little too serious, or at least a little
too much like GTA.
Yeah, they were just trying to be that. And I had some fun with like the demo of that, but then Saints Row 2 didn't necessarily they kind of found their path a little bit on that one. By the end of that game it was like, all right, I think they got their footing. And then 3 it was like, oh well, they've completely,
Yeah.
they found their groove with this game. And that's what they're doing. And then 4 was like, let's take our groove and knock it up, let's go to 10 with it.
Yeah.
And they have. So I like the fact that it exists. I don't look at it now anymore like I do a which one's better, GTA or Saints Row. I don't look at it.
Yeah,
they're
it's a completely
different
game
now.
at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
The other game I have been playing is Life is Strange, and if you like Twin Peaks and you like an actual adventure game, because it is a lot of people compare it to Telltale. I'm like, yeah, it has a lot of decisions you have to make, but it's also an adventure game. It has actual puzzles you still have to do.
Mm-hmm.
As well as I personally think the story's actually written better than anything Telltale has done.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping into that whenever. How many episodes? 5. They're going to release 5 episodes, and 4 just.
4 or 5 is out. 5 is coming in October.
Okay. Yeah, once all 5 are released, and I can buy, then I can buy all the episodes and play that. 5 is the final episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Once that's released, I'll be going that route, because I want to have. I've talked about this before. I'm not going to do episodic gaming anymore.
It's still a fairly long game. It is. Like, I did episodes 1 through 4 because, again, that's another game I got on sale this past week. That's 9 hours.
That's great. That's fantastic.
It's still, like, by the looks of it, it's going to be like 12 to 13 when all 5 are out.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's fantastic to hear because, you look at Telltale games and you can knock out one episode in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, this is about an hour and a half to 2 hours an episode.
Yeah. So it's easier for me to take these episodes as daily, basically daily episodes. So I play one of the episodes per day, and my retention. I was talking with somebody else. I think I was in Seattle. We were walking through downtown Seattle, going to a restaurant or something, and we were talking about the episodic games. I was like, I just can't. I tried it. I've tried it both ways. My first, and I don't know, maybe my first experience set with me better than my second experience. My first experience was renting The Walking Dead Season 1 on disc and being able to play all 5 episodes, and I did 1 episode a night and really enjoyed that experience. So when Wolf Among Us and Season 2 for Walking Dead released, I decided to do those per episode as they release.
Yeah, I completely understand the wait times between episodes is really long.
It is.
I kind of jumped in because it's like we're less than a month away from the final episode.
You're fine. Yeah, and it would be fine for me to jump in now too, since you've said episode 5 hits in October. I'd be completely okay with starting on that now. Obviously, I'm a little distracted. But that's something that I'll look forward to, especially with the Christmas sale coming up in. They'll probably do a fall sale on Steam, and then they'll do one for the holiday sale in December.
Yeah. And like I said, if you like Twin Peaks, you'll like this.
Oh no,
it really is.
Love Twin Peaks. I love Twin Peaks, man. I know Alan Wake isn't like Twin Peaks, but yes, I enjoyed that very much. And that was a nice little episodic type game where you could play it in chunks, but it was all released at the same time. So that one and all the Telltale series that I'm going to be jumping back into, especially the Borderlands one and the Game of Thrones one that I'll be jumping back in.
Apparently, the Borderlands one is actually pretty good, which is kind of surprising. Like, how can you do an adventure game in Borderlands?
I know. Look, I had the same question when they announced it. I was like, I don't understand how this is going to work. Then they released it, and it's just the positivity on this thing just keeps ramping up with every single episode they release. Like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is better, this is even better than the last one. It just keeps getting better and better, which makes me look forward to actually playing it. But I'm still in my head, I'm still like, I don't know how they do it, but we'll see. When I get around to playing it, we'll see how it goes.
I guess the more interesting one will be how do they do Minecraft?
Minecraft, exactly. Which I can't question them really anymore. They did it with Borderlands. They'll probably be able to do it with Minecraft.
Honestly, I would kind of put a distinction between a lot of what Telltale is doing and Life is Strange, because Life is Strange is an adventure game, whereas Telltale stuff, at least at this point, has become much more visual novel.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
There-
Everything I
yeah.
go on is what I've heard because I've tried to stay away from really exposing myself too much of it because I do want to play it, but I
Yeah.
don't want to be spoiled. And it's very hard to do that with episodic gaming because people want to talk about that episode prior as the next one releases. And so it just I haven't done, I don't think anybody here has played any of it. I don't think Matt's played any of it. I don't think James has played any of Life is Strange. So
That is a game that is definitely worth discussing once you have played it.
I completely agree. We had a fantastic discussion about Walking Dead whenever all of us had finished playing the entire season of season 1. Had a great discussion about it. Our discussion on season 2 was a little bit different because some of us were doing it episode by episode.
Yeah.
And so the discussion was really broken and not cumulative of everything you were done. It was harder to go back and say, what was your choice on this? How did you decide to go this route or that sort of thing? It was harder to go back to that because of the memory of what was all happening. But I felt because I played it on a daily basis, I started on a Monday and ended on a Friday or whatever the case was. I can't remember what it was, but I played over the span of 5 days, finished that entire story, and I felt I had a better connection to what was going on than I did with season 2. I'm not saying I can't really.
You probably, yeah, because of how close you played each episode
Right.
to each other.
It's hard for
But
me. It's hard for me to compare the two because if I'd played season 2 the same way I played season 1, I might have come away saying, "Oh wow, they did it again." But as it were, I can't say that. After I played season 2, I thought, it's all right, but it didn't get me like season 1 did.
I think after you play Life is Strange, even though the writing starts off a little weird, because it doesn't seem like, at least at the start, they knew how to write a teenage character, I think you will find the overall story, and probably even the writing at the end of it, probably better than what Telltale has done.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to playing something playing something episodic and like this, but not Telltale. I'm actually looking forward to experiencing what somebody else can do because Telltale has, it's like here's how they've got their formula on how they make their games as far as the episodic storytelling, whatever the case may be. So I'm looking forward to playing something from another developer and from another publisher that is trying to do the same thing, but is doing it in a completely different situation.
I won't spoil it.
Yeah,
how
be
this
careful.
ends up being, but there is an entire 5-minute scene, depending upon your choice that you make, you will never get.
I'll never get this. I'll never get to the scene, or I'll just never understand the scene when I get
You'll
to it.
You'll never get to the scene. Period. You won't even know it exists.
It's like depending on what
If
path
you-
you choose, that's it. You
If
just
you
never
don't
get to
make
it.
the, it's not a major scene. It doesn't change a lot,
Uh-huh.
but it is still a 5-minute scene you wouldn't know exists if you don't make the proper choice or ability to pull something off several episodes earlier.
Oh, nice. Good. That I like. That I really like because it feels like now again, we've talked about games that give you choice don't necessarily give you choice.
I mean, it's not a significant thing. It doesn't really change anything significantly, but it is a nice nod of, oh, you were able to do this thing earlier, so here you go.
Right. No, I like that. I like there's not many. I don't remember Telltale doing much of that, where something you did in episode 1 comes back to remind you about in episode 4, or something like that. They usually feel very self-contained in the sense that all the choices you make in there are related to that one episode. They don't have repercussions.
No, there are definitely
later on.
cross-episode. There are definitely cross-episode choices. Choices you make earlier definitely come back later.
Yeah, and I mean, I could don't take my word on this for the Telltale stuff. It's been a while since I played season 1 and season 2 there for Walking Dead.
They do something like that in Wolf Among Us. Depending on what choice you make, you had a choice to either do this or that. I'm trying not to put any spoilers in here, but it's
And tough, yeah, no.
yeah, it's like a choice you had to make, either go to one location or another location. Depending on which one you choose first,
That was in episode 1. You're right.
Yeah.
Because I went back to play that and actually, you're exactly right. But see, that was still self-contained in the first episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that choice was only, you still got to the same ending of that episode 1, regardless of which decision you took. However, you did miss a nice little chunk of some writing and some story,
dialogue and story with
telling there with a certain character who never showed back up ever again.
Right. See,
while the episodes are essentially going to end the same way, obviously, you can have some pretty significant outcomes with certain characters depending upon what choices you make earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, encounters can play out fairly differently depending upon the choices you make in earlier episodes.
Well, I'm looking forward to playing it. I really, really am. And I hope you call back. I hope you're listening on that day we talk about it. And call back so we can discuss it with you as well whenever that happens.
Nice speaking to you.
Yeah, thanks for calling, man. All right, like I said, if you'd like to get in touch with us, the number's 334-272-9228, 334-272-9228. Gonna take a break here, but we only got 10 minutes till the top of the hour, so I think I'll try and hold off and just go to the top of the hour here. But what was I going? Trying to stay away from the Destiny talk because I'm really curious about your opinion of the game. I really am, RJ, because you told us last night that you rented the PS3 version. Did you get a chance to play? I know you said you were downloading a bunch of stuff. Did you actually ever get a chance to jump in and play?
Yeah, I got a chance to play.
Good. We'll talk about that. I just want to make sure that you had, because I wanted to kind of get your opinion and figure out. I did want to say that finally, this is a game that I've been looking forward to, and we finally got some info on it. The Witness finally got a release date. Got a trailer too. I didn't really care about the trailer too much. That's fine. You can show me more of the game. It just makes me want it more. That's all. But that's Jonathan Blow's game. The last game he did was Braid. I enjoyed Braid. I know some people don't like it, or some people have issues with it. I really, really liked Braid. And I'm looking forward to The Witness. The Witness, especially the trailer, gives me a nice Myst vibe of being on an island that's uninhabited and solving puzzles. The puzzles obviously are very blatant puzzles that you have to solve, and they also seem to have the same mechanic in every one, which is draw a single line through checkpoints and get to the end type of situation through not necessarily a maze. It's not a maze. You just can't cross the streams, basically. You can't cross yourself the line.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, in a sense, yes. Or Tron. Yeah. Can't cross your trail. Snake would be another good one for the cell phone or whatever, for whatever that is.
Nokia.
Yeah, the snake thing. That seems to be the mechanic for every single puzzle that he's put into the game. That's been shown off. Otherwise, we don't know much about it. January 26th, I believe, is the... Ooh. Check my phone real quick. January 26th. That's the date. That is a Tuesday. Fantastic. And then PAX South starts that very next weekend. That I think I'm going to. I went ahead and got tickets. And I got the tickets and I booked the hotel for PAX South. So...
Where will that be?
That's in San Antonio.
San Antonio, okay.
Yeah. How's you've got a tournament coming up, don't you?
Yeah, we're going to Auburn for the Don't Get Wrecked.
When is that?
October 24th. That's a Saturday.
All right, we're about a month away from that, or so.
So I got time to put some practice in.
What do you do? You get to pick your own game on this one, or is it?
Yeah, you pick your own game. It's mostly there for Smash Brothers, the variations of Smash Brothers, but there's also some Guilty Gear Xrd and Ultra Street Fighter 4 going to be there as well. So those are two I plan to get into.
Yeah. And Nate, you're getting ready for a tournament as well, right? When's yours?
October 16th.
Oh, wow. Okay, so yours is the 16th. His will be the very next weekend then.
Yep.
And yours is here in town, right?
Montgomery.
In Montgomery?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't know, is that what you've been doing as well? In some chances that you get to... Do you practice? It's Hearthstone, right?
Yeah.
Do you practice for that? What do you have to do for that?
There's two things best to do is to watch pro streamers, which is what I do. That's actually where you learn the most. Well, it's about 50-50. I
That's-
mean,
yeah.
I've learned a lot of plays that I never would have thought to play watching them, especially just because of there's certain game mechanics that's really bad with Hearthstone of the card doesn't do what it says it's doing. So like when you play a character and then this animation happens, if you play it in a certain order, what you're reading, that's not the rotation that the animation is going to play. So like if you have a card that when it dies it takes another character, if you play your card and then they play their card, and then they play another card, the card it will steal might not be the one that you wanted to steal. So you gotta really learn the,
So it's like you can't take the descriptions at face value.
No, you have to know the way the mechanics work, and sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah.
I've done that. Yeah, I've done that a lot with speedrunners to figure out maps or tricks on maps, and to figure out, okay, how are these guys pulling off?
Yeah.
I'll get into a speedrunners match with somebody completely way above me in their experience, and they'll just blow, and then they'll just speed on. I mean, it's amazing what they can do.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go find some streams, like, how are they doing this? What is the technique? And just to watch them do it. It was great because one guy popped in and he was blowing us all away. And he stopped and typed in the chat room. He's like, "You guys just want to learn some stuff instead of racing? Do you guys just want to learn some stuff?" And we're like, "Sure." So he created a private room, and he's like, "Okay, from here do this. From here do this. Go. This is how you need to get enough speed coming off of this that you slide down, and then it'll just rocket you forward." And yeah, so I'm guessing Rocket League is probably another one that you could watch. And learn a lot from other players.
That one's more you need to play. You can watch, but you really need to play. But just give you a real quick example with Hearthstone. Okay, so there's one card that at the end of your turn it shoots a fireball, hits a random enemy for 8 damage. There's another one that at the end of your turn it revives any of your characters that died. Well, pending which card was played, so if you play the card that shoots the 8 damage, and then that card was played first, and then the next person plays the card that revives everyone. The original mechanic was that if you ended your turn and you played Draganos, who shoots the fireball, if he hit the guy who revives everyone and he kills him, if Draganos was played first, at the end of your turn when it hits him, it then does the animation to revive, so then it immediately comes back. Does that make sense? So the guy shoots the 8 damage because he was played first, and then he hits the guy who revives. He's supposed to just die, but the original mechanic was that it always did Ragnaros first because he was played first, and then he hits the other guy who then does his mechanic.
So there's just a loop. He just comes back like nothing happened.
Yeah, but that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, just pointless play.
Yeah,
waste of turn.
So then Blizzard fixed it to where it didn't matter who, but so you got to know little things like that, and of when to there's a ton of things of when to go, when to not attack.
How do you do it? I know that it's been done. How do you do how do you do a tournament for a game like this?
I need to reread the rules because they changed it up. Originally, typically how it works is it's best of 5. Well, okay, actually, there's a ton of different ways. It's either best of 5, best of 7. And so like best of 7, you can bring 5 decks. Best of 5, you can bring 3 decks. When you're playing, if you win with a deck, the person who wins with the deck can't use the deck again unless it changes multiple ways. But
so then it's a game. Again, I've never touched it, so I'm probably asking very stupid questions, and
really.
I apologize. How is it set up? So then you could just pick your opponent? You're able to pick... You have a mode where you can just pick your own opponent or something like that? I mean, how does that...
Are you talking about like when I'm playing, like just practicing?
No. I'm talking about at the tournament. How do you face off against somebody else in the tournament?
They said they're going to have like I said, you looked it up, but I believe they're going to have like a 1-round elimination at first, and then go into the multi-elimination. So at first, people are just going to put randomly together. Then you select your one deck, and then play against each other. And then
what I'm saying is, how are all those people put randomly together? How? Or do you guys all go into a lobby and then pick from there who's going into the...
Okay, so I see what you're saying. Once we go there, you just accept the person's friend request, and then you just select a duel.
Okay, that was my
then
question.
People can spectate.
That was like,
duel.
how are you
I'm
matched
sorry.
up with
Yes,
someone
yes.
as far as?
No, you can easily
Yeah.
pick someone, and you can set it to. It's not like all random.
Right.
Just,
Yeah. No, I understand now.
They
I
set
understand.
that up, and then you play whoever you need to play.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Was I didn't understand how.
And when you watch pros, it can. The reason they needed to make it short at the beginning is because each person each time, like the time you have per turn is a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain players, like there's one pro guy. He's known that no matter what, even if the churn is the very first turn you have one guy that can only one person can be played, he'll use that whole minute. And think of all his 6 moves that he's going to be doing. Like he'll use, so he's famous for. That when he's going to be playing, it's going to be a 30-minute match for one match.
Well, I guess in a game like that, it's like a chess or something. You can't be thinking like just one next move.
Yeah,
like
you
several moves
to.
ahead because you got to know what your opponent can do, how you can counter each attack that comes against you.
And what I've learned from pros and stuff, you need to learn to the point where you need to know what cards they're going to have. Without you knowing, so that way you need to know, okay, he probably has an AoE, so I can't play these 3 minions because they'll immediately die. So
right.
you have to pretty much know within the first 2 turns what deck they have.
Yeah.
And so
you think about looking at pros. The same thing goes for me. If I look at certain players of Street Fighter or Guilty Gear Xrd or any other fighting tournament I'm into, I can see the techniques that they use against certain characters. Because the thing you got to think about is like matchups. How is my character going to match up against this character that he uses? But it's one thing to see it. You got to practice it as well. So you got to get in the lab and go to your training mode and start playing, getting those techniques down over and over and over again. And a lot of fighting games nowadays have training modes that set up situations for you to practice on as well. You can record the opponent's moves to do to you, so you can build up a counter against that. So yeah, I can see the whole thing about looking at pros, because that's how you learn a lot of stuff in competitive gameplay.
Yeah. Now, one issue there can be with Hearthstone is sometimes there's just situations that there's one deck right now that your actual character itself has 30 health total, and a warrior can go past it or whatever. But anyways, there's just one deck that if you do the combo right, you can do almost 80 damage in one turn. So it's sometimes there's just things that there's nothing. You're not going to win. No, there's nothing you can do. Yeah. And that recently just happened at like a major tournament. The one guy had 76 health and lost in one turn.
Had 76 health.
Yeah.
And one combo done.
Yep.
Yeah. We've seen it before tournaments too, like just complete domination from the get-go. I mean, I think I've told the story before about some people. It was a Marvel Capcom 3. We saw a dude get taken out of a tournament in like 17 seconds, literally 17 seconds with one character, and that was all she wrote. We just sat there like, nope. I think I'll pass on that one. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have the second hour. James actually is here, so he'll be here for the second hour, and we're going to touch on Destiny. I say we're going to touch. We're going to slam that thing over its head with a giant hammer as we go over a lot of the changes that have been done. Like I said, a huge difference in the span of a year has taken a game that we played for about a month and brought us back in just 1 year's time to really, really enjoy the changes that they've made. And we'll talk about all of that coming up next hour on In-Game Chat. We'll leave you with music from Homeworld. We'll be right back. And welcome back to In-Game Chats. We were able to hold off on pretty much most of the Destiny conversation because we were waiting for James to be able to make it to the show here. And I know we did not get... I kind of want to start with RJ, since he rented the game last night, was it?
Yeah, last night.
And you could only rent the PS3 version because you can't rent the PS4 version because Redbox is whatever.
Yeah,
A little behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The website says they have PS4 and Xbox One
try doing a
games,
search,
but-
though.
Yeah. They do have it if you're in some other,
Los Angeles,
Yes,
you know.
if you're in somewhere else.
Major city, I guess, yeah.
But not here. So
Right.
you got it, you put the game in, you downloaded all the updates that you needed to download. How long did that take, by the way?
I want to say about 3.5, 4 hours. About that time, because it wasn't too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would have been a very good time
Mhm.
about 10, 12 days ago.
Yeah.
because everyone was doing it at the same
It
time.
was
I
really,
believe,
really
yeah.
bad, and the download was understandably throttled, most
Mhm.
likely intentionally by Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But you finally got it all done, started up, and I don't know. What do you think? What's your opinion?
Well, first thing I thought was
How far did you get?
Taken King, level 7.
Okay.
Level 7. First thing I saw was the thing said Taken King. I'm like, I didn't get any
Right.
DLC for
Their
this thing,
splash
so-
screen is
yeah, the
now.
splash
Yeah.
screen says Taken King, so I was thinking something went wrong here, but no, apparently not. It's just there. Like you said, their little thing that lets you know that Taken King is available. Let's see. First thing I thought about was what type of role I was going to play in this game.
Right.
I started playing with folks. What type of character I was going to be. Now,
How did
I
that
said
look
earlier,
to you? Like, how does that look to you? Because I honestly cannot remember a year ago staring down those three roles and kind of understanding the
I can't
distinction.
remember. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even though we had played in the alpha and the beta a little bit, we had little bites leading up to it. I don't really feel like the distinction at that time for new characters and new players was very understandable.
Mhm.
There wasn't much of a demarcation between the three.
Yeah.
It was like, and there are differences, but they're not, for the most part, super core differences. They're not as different as, say, a tank, a healer, and a DPS
Right,
in,
no,
in
no.
a traditional MMO.
Yeah. I tell you what it felt, with looking at the description of everything, it felt limited. Really limited at what it could be. Like you said, there's no real difference. I mean, I've ended up choosing Titan.
You
in the end.
chose wisely. You chose the best class
It was like
on the first go.
I was thinking about the defensive capabilities of this
Yeah.
this class really more than anything else. I mean, the other one was Hunter, which I don't know, knife play I guess was the best thing about Hunter. And then the Warlock with I guess magic or special.
Yeah, essentially, what
abilities
would
and things like
amount
that.
to magic? Like what
Yeah.
you can. I mean, if you broke everything down, if you could somehow strip if you could chart non-graphically the things the characters are able to do, there aren't the variations don't look all that different. They look almost like two different specs of the same class in any other kind of MMO. They are different. Don't misunderstand. They are to some degree, but and they each have their own meta, and there's a lot of different combinations because they each have 3 subclasses.
Yeah.
And so much of the armor, just let's say the equipment in the game is designed to be synergistic with generic abilities, and then again with very specific abilities. It's hard at a glance to say, there's no differences, but really it just doesn't amount to as much as you might think. And that's one of the reasons that I settled on the Titan, was because at the time they only had 2 subclasses per class. But the Titan's defensive thing is very relatively slow and kludgy, and really is defensive. It is not offensively focused, and most of its a super charged power thing is almost purely defensive and support.
It's a bubble with a buff.
It's a bubble with a buff or debuffs to the enemy or various things like that. It actually is supremely helpful.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about the Titan that got me, because it was the most closest thing. Looking at the description of all the classes, Titan to me looked like the best support type of character there was, and that's the type of character I usually always play in games of this nature. The guys who can support the team
that
more than anything else.
and I don't know how long it's been since you've gone back to that subclass to play.
I
in
go
that
back
style?
to it I have to switch back to it every day or so, because some of the daily bounties require void kills.
Right.
And there's solar, arc, void. It's just those three, correct?
Yes.
Solar, arc, and void are the three elemental types in the game. Secondary weapons and heavy weapons are imbued with one of these types.
Yeah.
Different things
haven't
are
found any heavy weapons yet, though. Yeah.
different things in the game are weak or strong to them. Different enemies either do that type of damage or another type. And I believe now each class has a subclass that uses each of that three. So
Which
the,
I tell you,
the defender is my void.
before they
so I
gave
have
us
to switch to it.
yeah,
in order
before
to
they
get
gave
void
us the
kills.
third subclass, I never even made the connection of
Yeah.
hey, it'd really be nice if because
If I had all three.
I know, especially when you go into your nightfalls and your weeklies that have certain damage higher for those
For like solar and you're a Titan.
those
and
elements.
it's like, well,
yeah,
I guess I can pull the gun out.
Yeah,
Right, but my
exactly.
basic abilities aren't giving me any bonuses.
yeah,
at
I
all.
know, yeah,
So, but yeah, if you were to chart the extremes, in my opinion, from what is now the solar subclass and their defensive class on the Titan, it's what I think is the broadest range of options of what to do. And for a while, like with the two basic classes, we were Titans were locked into pretty much mostly melee stuff. You had there is a super that gives you kind of like a distant jump. You can kind of jump and then target your thing. But even that ends up with you being within melee range of whatever it is you want to do. So it felt a little bit. It was not very popular in PvP for obvious reasons because they have low agility typically, or in order to get decent agility, they have to sacrifice an awful lot.
yeah. Or
in terms
well,
of other
it
things.
did kind of help in
In certain forms of
capture
PvP,
the flag or something
yeah.
like that. You put a
You
bubble
could-
around
you
the
could bubble
target.
around the
and
target. Yeah, that's true.
hold
There
the
are
position.
things you could do. There are always things you can do and be clever when you're a support class.
Yeah, yeah.
But if what you want is to, feel like an amazing ninja, assassin, Sith Inquisitor, something like that, up to this point, the Titan was pretty much left in the dirt. But with the Sunbreaker class,
Yeah.
they are now legitimately one of the most awesome things I've ever played in a video game. Because I catch fire, I conjure a giant hammer. It makes the clang sound that my paladin makes, and
See,
wow,
we don't hear that, but you hear that.
clang, and then I start throwing fiery hammers all over the place.
Cast iron skillet sound.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's
okay, good.
brilliant. You like the cartoon cast iron
Yeah.
skillet sound. And I just start chucking hammers all over the place, and there's flames and glory of the
Have
light
you maxed
exploding.
have you maxed that
I'm,
level yet?
I'm a hair away.
Okay.
I'm
yeah.
a hair away.
Nice.
And what's funny is the last two orbs that I have to fill are two of the ones I want most.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love it. I love that subclass. I love the class as a whole. And it's interesting because you're never gonna see the game that was. You actually now you will only ever see the game that is because all the changes are in.
Right.
And it is also the game that should have been. And in the game that was, there was a sense of, among many, many people, even the semi-hardcore, the soft-core players, and the super casuals, there was a sense that, okay, there's a limited amount of things I can do, so I should switch over to my other characters now. Or I have a limited bandwidth for getting new gear and new items and new upgrades because of how the entire system the whole scheme was rigged. So for a lot of the hardcore, they would say, if they were really serious about it, they would play 2 or 3 of the same class because you can share gear between your own characters. So they would, and weapons can be used by anyone, but your armor is very is specific to your class. So they would run multiples of the same class to have another bite at the apple to get another piece of gear that they could shoot over to their main.
Right.
Now they've made some subtle but significant changes, and that's not even. Now there's not that anxiety about, well, I should really go level this other character to maybe get some better things, to do my weeklies, to get some tokens or whatever. Now there is that sense that pretty much all of the time you have should be spent on your main character.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that I love him even more now, that I love that class so much more, makes me just happy to spend all of my time on it and just ignore the other two. I keep thinking like now I'll never get around to playing those other two
I know.
because I'll never not want to play my Titan.
Yeah.
That's obviously not true, but
I keep
It'll be the
feeling
case
like I
someday.
keep feeling like we're gonna hit that wall, right? That wall's coming. Is it coming? All right. Well, maybe it's further down the road. We'll get there.
yeah.
But,
I
you
mean,
know,
eventually
yeah.
you will.
But anyway, so back to your opinion.
Yeah, after the
You
pick the
chose
class,
you chose Titan. Picked
chose
that
Titan.
class.
Something that got me about the character creation. I always like more detail in my character creation than
Yeah,
normal.
the
and
character
there's
creation
really,
is
really,
not good.
I mean, I was thinking,
It's not good.
I like to make would I like to make him big and clunky to reflect the name Titan?
Yeah.
Or would I like to make him thin and wiry? No option.
Too
for that.
bad.
Yeah.
You just got a certain body
Too
type
bad.
and that's it. Maybe
See-
that's something Bungie does all the time. I'm not sure.
See, for me, I hate customization. I always like default.
Yeah.
Default. I hate so the little bit they give you. I'm like, yes.
I mean, you
hate
can
going through.
you
all
could
those.
go too far.
City of Heroes would have given you a
Yeah.
headache, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Dark Souls as well.
But see, when they pull up, they have sliders. I'm like, nope.
I would at least
Default.
like. I think there's a happy medium.
Yeah.
I think like having, like I'm not necessarily upset at the fact that there's like 8 total like head types, face types. That doesn't bother me. Different body types I like. It's actually something that always upset me in like something like World of Warcraft. I know it's a comical sort of crazy game and it was really funny, but if I'm playing a human male caster, right, like a warlock or something physically weak, but who draws his power from the ether or from the arcane. I don't want like their unbelievable like
Muscle.
bodybuilder muscle type guy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to me. I don't like it. I would really like something sort of withered and small.
Give me my Gandalf. Give
Yeah.
me my yeah.
And so that would be fun. Even I honestly I think a very good. Mostly it's in my brain because I've been playing it again lately. Character creation in Old Republic, I think is
Yeah, that was good.
It was good. It was not too many choices. It wasn't weird sliders where you wind up with some sort of amorphous, really,
Like Arc is really bad.
Yeah, like really horrible looking dude. It's just here's 50 different types of scars, but like, 10, 12 different types of faces or heads or something. They kept it simple enough. You could work with it, and you could be like little tiny. Every time I do character creation in that game, I actually think about. It's funny because they have like a very small, like. You can't like change height, but there's like the 4 body types. There's a small, skinny, and then like kind of I guess what you would say is normal, and then like your big bodybuilder type, and then like the overblown like comically.
Yeah.
fat
Big
guy.
McLarge huge. Yeah.
Yeah, big large huge. And like so like going back and forth between all of them, it always makes me think of Space Ace. The old
just
blue
bought that.
animation.
I
The
just
old
bought-
blue
I
animation.
I just bought that on the PlayStation.
where
Store.
like
It's
he gets
$250
zapped
right
with the
now.
Infanto Ray, and he like turns into like little tiny skinny guy,
Yeah.
and then he like turns back into Space Ace, and he's like Rob Gronkowski again all of a sudden or
Yeah.
whatever. I always really like that, but something that simple would be fun.
Yeah.
To have like big beefy Titan,
Yeah.
and then
Because we are all the same.
yeah. But you know what you would do? You would do the same. You would game it in the same way so many other people do. You would turn yourself into a wee skinny guy if you were into PvP. So you're, even if they maintained the same hitbox.
So the hitbox. Yeah.
Even if they maintain the same hitbox, a smaller perceived model
Mhm.
is always an advantage. So I can understand, given as much pressure that as they put on PvP,
Yeah.
that's
True.
not a thing.
Yeah.
The thing that aggravated me more than anything else was you can't turn your character to look at their hair. So a couple of times I put hair on my
No,
characters
yeah.
in Destiny, and then got in the game and I was like, no, not with that going on in the back. No, I'm not. No, we're not doing that. You didn't tell me that was back there.
Yeah, you can't turn the head in that thing. Yeah. Only once the character's created and you look at your inventory, then you can spin
Yeah.
them around and take a look. But
Yeah.
otherwise, no.
Yeah, so it's whatever. And I think they could have gotten a lot more fun with the EXO.
Mm-hmm.
They could have really, really played with them. Have you do a lot of different things and stick a lot more junk on their head if you wanted to.
So you created the character.
Created character, started playing, got that little prologue out the way. You've been dead for years or whatever, and started playing the game. Try to get a feel of how the character moves and things like that. Very simple control scheme, nothing too complicated, easy to remember.
Yeah.
So it was very simple. I was appreciative of that. Did not like the fact that I have to be online all the time with this game.
Yeah.
There's no option. Like if I just wanted to go, like I said, I wanted to go solo and explore, no interference from anything like that. There's really no option because the first planet I got on, there's people running around at like ridiculously higher levels than me. Some at my level, things like that. And I was thinking about someone going to be coming along, like party invites and things of that nature, all types of interaction. I didn't want that. I just wanted to go solo, experience the game by myself and like that. But there's no option for that.
You can prevent that. There are options to set yourself to like nobody can mess with you.
Yeah, although to be honest, I leave mine open and nobody.
Yeah.
I don't get anybody randomly joining me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Okay.
I think once it's happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of the whole time.
It has never happened to me at all.
And this is not obviously in defense of the always online thing. It is clearly a choice, and they made mistakes. A lot of people make mistakes when they make a game of this kind, and they try to say like, well, there's nothing we could do. It's just, I have no choice. It's power of the cloud or the amazing complexities of something. I don't know. Really what it is they wanted to make a certain type of game. They wanted to have people in the mix together all the time. They wanted to be able to control the information all the time. I understand all this. They wanted all of it on the back end. They wanted you to be playing the version of the game that they want running all the time. And that's a choice. So just say it. Just say that's what you want. We want full control of this game. We're not interested in delivering something that we want 100% control of the experience. That's all there is to it. Having said that, the open nature of the game is... No. The nature of the interplay between characters is pretty well done, in my opinion. It's very difficult to find yourself in a situation where you're being hurt by other people's presence. It just doesn't happen. You would think that there's an enormous room for griefing, but there really isn't. Anything that's crucial to what you have to do is either hidden away where they can't get to it in your own like instanced personal areas, or not really something that they're going to be able to harm for very long. And there are a lot of public shared activities that are like a boon to playing out there with other people, and you don't even ever have to share a word.
Well, and with Destiny, even though it's online only, a lot of the interactions are just with you. Like it's just on your console, on your home machine, in the background. You know? So like when you pick up spin metal, it's just for you.
It's just for you.
So it's online only, but it's a one-on-one interaction.
Right. It's layered in a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Like the chests, for an example. Yeah. And which kind of things spawn for the person, for the group, for the instance. It's weird. It's strange. The only thing I regret about it is, setting aside obviously the fact that you're testing it out on the PS3, I really wish they had just cut the old consoles loose. I wish they had not developed for them, because the size of the areas, the frequency of loading pipelines between areas is all obviously and very clearly defined by memory limitations.
Because there were times when I was like switching out loadouts and no pause. Unless I'm mistaken, there's no.
Oh no, it's
there's
always
no pause in this game at all.
None at all.
Exactly. Okay, so finding cover and like switching out the loadout to a better gun or better pistol, something like that. There was like this nice little brief delay for all the stuff to actually show up,
load back in.
load back in. So if I'm getting shot and the thing's still loading, get out of that and go back to the firefight and then go back into it.
Yeah.
So I didn't. It was odd to me that a game like that wouldn't have a pause. I mean, I know that's weird. Me playing Dark Souls and Bloodborne and things like that.
It's very much like that, though.
Yeah.
It's very much like that. It's very much like that. Or playing Diablo 3 online.
But I mean,
you know what I mean?
But see, the way they have it built is it can't be paused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
There's always an active connection.
Exactly, with
to
the server,
other players,
and they don't want you in that.
To the server, yeah.
They don't want you in there if you don't need to be in there, because they don't want their servers being.
Yeah. It is a frustration, particularly since it shares an awful lot in terms of expectation with games like Borderlands, which can be done totally offline, or only with people that you've invited in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Specific matchmaking or specific lobby creation or something like that.
Right.
But really, You know what? Honestly, the best way to handle the question of it always being online is too bad. That's what it is. If you don't like it, and I know there are people who don't, move on. Be upset, be angry. I don't care. They don't care. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are still people out there who like to show up in forum threads or subreddits or discussions about Diablo 3 and, like, get old man about it. It's like, well, do I still have to be online always? Let me know when I don't. Then I'll play it. Well, die. You know what I mean? Just go ahead and die. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Just keep waiting for the rest of your life.
Because it's not going to change.
Because it isn't going to change. I know that you don't like it. And there are things about it I do not like. But this is what it is. So holding on to your anger and disappointment and feeding it and nurturing it and bringing it out to show everyone once every few months, I don't care. And you're only, it's so much noise, so much garbage that you're putting out into the air. And that's it. The discussion's over. It was over a year ago. So I know in no way are you.
No,
saying
like I said, I don't like it. I wish I had the option.
Yeah.
That's the fact that I don't have the option. That's what really gets me. But
I
live
would,
with it.
Again, I would suggest that there was no way to have the option and have Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
You either have Destiny or a game you can pause. And if you have a game you can pause, you have Bungie's boring take on Borderlands, probably. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're very conservative,
Mm-hmm.
unfunny take on Borderlands.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you sit though? Or is this something? I assume you were renting this just to be like, hey, if I do like this, I'll grab the PS4 version.
Yeah,
or...
it's a rental to get a feel for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So get used to the system and
I'm sure
play
you
the
want to put
mechanics
in
and
more
everything
time
like
with it because you only spent like a couple hours one night or so. And whatever,
a little bit the first night and then a little bit before I got here. A few more hours, more intensely this morning and early afternoon before I got here.
You want to still put in some time with it, or are you thinking?
I'll still put a little time into it, as much time as I can. Then
I'm just saying we'd love to play with you. We'd love to have you there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have not played a game with you
in a while,
if at all.
No, I mean I don't want to have to go that far back, but
for me anyway, I don't know.
We played City of Heroes together.
Oh, that's right.
City of Heroes. Yeah.
Who were you on that one?
I was the medic.
What was your character's name?
Dr. Garland.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can know, man. Is the name of your character.
No, I would like to, because for a long time we were all on different platforms.
Right.
And it's kind of been a weird, because you stopped playing on the PC kind of when we went back to the PC, and then we were all on the 360 and like not so much on the PS3.
Right.
That was your primary console. Then it all kind of switched, and we all, like, the world kind of found itself back on the PS4 primarily. I say the world, but whatever. And like, so now for the first time in a very long time, we find ourselves having the ability to be in and around this. And unless I messed up my research last night for obvious reasons, the game, your rights to play PS4 on Destiny don't come from anywhere. You still have to buy it. Although it's the best deal in the world is for people who never played it. $60 for all content. But your character is tied to your PSN account.
I think you told me that.
And your Bungie stuff, and that crosses over from 360 to Xbox One or
PS3 to PS4.
From PS3 to PS4.
So
any content or any advancement that you make on your character, you just pick right back up on the PS4.
Right. Okay.
So you are not losing out on anything necessarily. And so you shouldn't feel like a sunk cost fallacy or anything about it. But nonetheless, again, they do a lot of things correct. One of the things I think they did best was the ease of moving into and out of groups with other people. Which really leads to my only major regret about the game, is that it's 3-person parties, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like 4 would feel better. I think 4 would just somehow feel a little better.
Yeah, I thought 4 was the standard in games like this.
And
no, apparently not.
4 with an 8-man raid.
Yeah.
3 and 6 just has. I mean, I know there were a lot of people defending it by saying, well, they have 3 classes, but it's like, you don't have to have one of each, so that doesn't make sense.
No.
Right.
This weird like Trinity thing that they've got going on, the 3 damage types, 3 classes, 3 subclasses, like all this 3 stuff is just
Especially for a company that's obsessed with 7.
yeah. Well, you know, 3 is another magic number. So.
Yeah, that's true.
But whatever. That's about the only regret. But
That and the lack of being able to find somebody to play with, as far as, you know, doing a looking for group type situation or anything like that, to find people who are looking to do the same
That's
thing.
another thing that's very common with people who make MMOs or pseudo MMOs. They don't want to believe it. No. You're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. You're gonna find buddies, and you're gonna create a community. But not everybody wants to do that. They don't want to invest the time into maintaining their own presence in a community. Because if you don't do that, you kind of get forgot about and you fall to the bottom of the list for matchmaking and things like that. But having a matchmaking system just makes sure it's possible to get basic content done.
Yeah.
And then having some kind of established thing, I guess. Like, if there was a kiosk in the tower that you could walk up to and click and say, I'm interested in doing like this raid or this raid or this raid, right? And then someone could be like, you know what, I'm interested in running a raid. We need a couple of extra guys. It would be the same thing that we used to do in World of Warcraft, where we would run...
It's the same thing you do in Old Republic, or did in Old Republic. I don't know if it's still the same way, but yeah.
I mean, we had like a small guild,
It's
right?
like
we
a
always
message board type situation
10-man
in
work.
game, yeah.
So we would have like 8 people online in our guild. You know, we had like a 20-man guild, but you're never going to have everybody online at once. You got like 8 guys. And you need some people, and it turns out one guy can't make it, so you send somebody back to the city, and it's like, hey, need, you know, 1 DPS, 1 healer for
LFG.
ICC. So,
Or-
yeah, just like,
yeah.
come on, anybody want? Anybody want in? I got a raid, I got 2 spots.
Yeah.
So the guy who's got a raid with 2 spots goes to the tower, clicks on the same kiosk, and is like, you know, this guy over here, Psycho Boy 2, is looking for a spot in a raid because he's got nothing else going on. Hey, come here.
Yeah.
That's not matchmaking.
Nope.
So it's not anonymous. It keeps it within community involvement. It requires direct, you know, like call and response type activity between 2 people, and it solves the problem of knowing, like, where do I go? Do I try to join the Reddit players? Do I try to join the GAF players? Do I try to join the Bungie.net players? Do I try to find my own community? Do I go to one of the you know, fan-made LFG sites? It's a bit of a mess, and it's something I think they need to capitulate on. They just need to
Well, that's coming
back off and let go.
2.5.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Something like that needs to happen. A halfway point just makes it a little bit easier for people.
Yeah.
Zufu is on the phone right now. Hey, Zufu. Yeah, if he's there. You there?
Hi, everyone.
He got tired of waiting.
Hey,
Sorry.
there you are. Sorry about that. Hey.
No problem. I just wanted to kind of touch on the digital distribution. Like, do you guys think this will be the last console generation that has physical discs? Because I think Microsoft tried it, and you know they got a lot of pushback. But now I think most gamers, even console gamers, are accustomed to downloading their games from, like, you know, getting it at a pretty decent time. The only downside is, like, the other day I plugged in my Dreamcast, and like 12 years later, it's still working. And I can't imagine taking a PS3 out and trying to connect it, and then you can't do anything because all the servers are offline. So, what did you guys think? Is this possible that they're going to go fully digital?
I think it's absolutely possible they'll make another pass at
Yeah,
it.
they'll I think they'll keep trying, actually.
I think one more generation. I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to happen just yet. I still don't think the internet's there for everybody.
It's certainly. I mean, it's already
It-
definitively not there for a lot
Yeah.
of people with data caps. There were people howling about all the Taken King stuff because
Yeah,
it was
well,
such a massive download.
There's
And
people
it's
howling
like,
about Microsoft.
The
Yeah.
only way, yes. Actually, that is the only way you can get Taken King is digital. It does not come on a disc. I think when you buy...
there is a disc, but it still requires the same download that absolutely everybody
else has
have.
to do, yeah.
And to even play Destiny at all, even as a non-Taken King owner, because all of the content is with the exception of one area, all of the content is layered back into the existing areas. Everyone has to have it. That's the fight that they're going to have to really fight. The data cap issues, the slow internet speeds, what turns out to be absolutely no cost benefit to the player or to the customer, because for whatever reason the consoles have just really chosen not to go that same route that the PC has. Digital distribution made PC games, sometimes quite literally a dime a dozen.
Yep.
And the consoles still haven't gone that way. Physical, you can still wind up getting significantly cheaper than digital. and you can wind up getting roped into some weird stuff.
Where do you hope it
digitally.
goes, Zufu? Do you hope it goes digital or what?
I'm conflicted because there is definitely the pros of convenience, and for me, when I downloaded MGS5 the other day, I got it from Steam as fast as I could download. That's how fast they gave it to me, like 7 megabytes a second. So there is that convenience, but like you said, there are people in certain parts of the world where they're getting like very bad speed and they're paying a lot for it, and they have data caps. All this has to kind of be kept in mind for the general public, but at the same time, I'm sure companies like Sony and Microsoft would love to go all digital because they get a bigger piece of the pie, and GameStop and all those other physical retailers are out of the picture for the most part.
But I don't necessarily know if Sony wants to do that. They can't even handle what they have now.
Yeah, they haven't. They haven't.
No way.
I'll tell you what. There's no way they're not doing the math. They're absolutely. They absolutely know for a fact how much stuff is selling on the store versus how much stuff is selling through brick and mortar. They have that stuff all the way down. Mm-hmm. And I think the minute they make a calculation and say, okay, there's this much more coming through in digital in terms of like revenue, it leads to this much kind of profit compared to this other stuff. And here's some calculated guesswork number that we can apply and say this is the amount of business we will lose if we go pure digital. When that really becomes a break point and is like, it doesn't matter if we lose a bunch of customers and if things change and we lose the relationship with the retailer. Yep. We're doing so much better on the digital end. That's just where we're going. As soon as that's in hand, as soon as those numbers are incredibly clear and it looks like they can legitimately roll it out without too much trouble, I think they'll go that way. I think they will, and it'll be weird. I'm totally comfortable with it in the PC space. But you made a very good point by saying, like, what happens when I pull out my PS3 or my PS4 10 years from now? Like, are those titles never get rolled up into a new architecture? That architecture is not consistent. It's not a spectrum. I mean, we worried about it on the PC for a while, and there still are concerns, but we routinely play 25-year-old PC games. There's very little out there in the grand scheme of things that can't be played from ages ago on the PC. It just hasn't. Yeah, or just people making sure that it's compatible or that it is recoded in a way that I mean, GOG has done fantastic work. So I'm not sure of that future on the consoles. I feel like each console just sort of becomes extinct and
I don't even know if they do when they do make the switch, they're fully going to make the switch.
Yeah, you might do a half measure.
I still don't think they're going to
kind of a half measure
until it's like you said, it's to the point where okay, no one's buying discs, but I just don't see that.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. I think the only way it'll work if for the consoles is if they're all in, because I know that Sony kind of capitalized on that and kind of said, oh wow, so if Microsoft is not going to give you that option, we will.
Yeah.
So as long as someone has an opportunity, they're going to probably get the upper hand. But unless, like, let's say the Nintendo NX that gets probably announced next year, they're all digital, and then Microsoft's saying we're going all digital, then Sony says we're all going all digital, they'll kind of force everyone to, kind of be on the same level playing field, but I don't know if that's likely. So he said it might be another generation.
I just sort of had one thought though, them not having a disc limitation, they could essentially make the games, we're just going to make it 80 gigs, 120 gigs.
Yeah.
Because, and that could be another, people aren't going to want to download.
No.
If it's taking,
No.
Because Destiny.
Well, you would think. I mean, to be fair, distributing the disc to save download time or bandwidth is a good idea, but nobody's even doing that anymore. Yeah. As evidenced by the fact that Taken King, it doesn't even matter if you pick up the disc.
Yeah.
B, Metal Gear Solid 5, where the PC version simply had the disc just had a code and the installer for the Steam version. It's like they're not even doing that where applicable. You would assume I'll get the disc because it'll help me. They don't care. They're not trying to help you. They're trying to appease your need to have something to put on a shelf. And there are other ways to go about doing. There are ways to go about doing that. It seems very silly to me, but hey, if you buy the $75 digital version, we'll mail a fake disc to your house or something. We'll mail a box that you can put on your shelf to you.
One more thing is too, if they really want to make the push, they need to make the games a lot cheaper.
That's what I think.
That's
It is
main
the
things.
reason why Steam
Yeah.
ran away with things. Steam was doing great for a while, but when they started showing mathematically, look what happens when you cut the prices of your games. You dump truckloads of games sell, and you start selling in volume, not with a slimmer margin, but you're selling in such amazing volume that you're making more money. And there's going to be a lot of people that'll hold back because demonstrably right now there are much cheaper ways to get most games
But
rather than digital.
if it gets to the point where it's like, AAA games are $40 download, like,
Yeah.
oh wow, $40, okay,
That's a good thing.
You can
Compared
go
to
to-
nowadays, heck yeah.
You can go to the store and get it for $60, or you can
Yeah.
buy it
Yeah.
online for
Although-
even a $10 cut
that
Yeah.
would be
would
like,
be
dang.
Would be-
you would see so much change.
And for what it's worth, we shouldn't ignore the fact that for a huge segment of the games that are on the consoles right now, a lot of them are digital only. Think about how many games you can get, mostly the indie titles or the mid-tier types of things that they don't ever, their entire life is digital. There's
look
a
at
lot of
the-
things you could never go into the store.
Well, look at the PSN store now. If you want to buy, good God, man, my Vita, my PS Plus account is only good for digital goods.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so if I'm gonna play, it works on the Vita. They're doing this with the Vita now. They do make the actual physical games, but I haven't bought but one of them. And then the one that came with my Vita itself, I've been doing digital. But to buy anything, you said the PSN store was going on sale right now, and you bought, what did you buy?
I bought Dragon's Lair 2, and Space Ace. They were like
Guess what?
$2.50
You want to
a
play
piece.
that game now? You're buying a digital copy of it. I know I know it's not very big as far as the space.
But it
takes
is
up.
examples.
But it's
Those
an
are
example,
examples of things that are
like
digital only.
That it's all digital.
About a
Everything
gig a
that
piece,
was
actually.
everything that was physical only, and because that was in a time we didn't even think of downloading.
Yeah.
The PS2 launch titles. We didn't even think about downloading those. That wasn't in our.
You didn't think about downloading games.
Yes,
Right.
it wasn't
Back
in.
then.
That wasn't in our existence. It wasn't in our head. Now that's the only way you can get them is downloading them.
Yeah.
So.
There's actually a story that came out on Giant Bomb about that GameStop refusing to sell console bundles that include digital copies.
Yeah, they
So
were
this is
replacing
kinda
them
like
with
the
physical.
pushback.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
here's the thing, like, I can imagine that this is going to get really nasty in the next few years because I
Oh,
have
it's
a
gonna
strong
get- yeah.
suspicion that
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm
You
actually
know what?
every-
giddy with excitement
Hey,
to see this
if
go.
they want a business model, and I have thought this for a very long time, I even told this to some of their guys, like when I had to work there a number of years ago. I was like, this is going away. It like not anytime soon, but your boxes and your plastic discs are going away.
Mhm.
They're going to end, and like ultimately, what your job is going to be is to turn all of your GameStops into a place where people can take their console and have like fiber optic connections. Like take your console to a place where you can plug it into a download kiosk, right? This is for people with data caps and bandwidth limitations who
Right.
can't afford to do this. And so then you've still got a viable business model in the game space, sort of, kind of.
I really hope we don't get to that point.
Well, I mean, it is.
I know.
It's more a question of.
Well, I just mean with like data caps and stuff. Please no. Please no.
We're already at that
there's
point.
tons of people are already at that point.
I know, but I'm saying like I
You're
don't
hoping
want to.
you don't ever personally run into that point. I
That's what I'm
agree.
saying.
I hope I don't either.
Yeah. Yeah, the GameStop can like stop selling discs and move entirely into rural America.
No, $5 to get in.
For me, guys,
like Dollar
here's one last
Generals.
Yeah.
just one last thing before I go. I just wanted to kind of say that people were expecting price drops to happen once games became digital, but we didn't really see it. And I think a lot of that has to do with retailers kind of forcing these companies and publishers to keep the prices up, to keep it competitive,
Yeah.
for brick and mortar. So once these kind of GameStops are phased out, I'm curious to see what kind of pricing models we'll see when that isn't an issue anymore, and we can really get good discounts for brand new games instead of
Yeah.
having to wait.
I think you're
for
right.
Uncle
Again, that's what
Bundle.
happened on PC. There was no challenge from. I mean, the brick and mortar guys, the physical retailers had already abandoned the PC.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a fertile ground for somebody to come in and be like, well, can we put this up here? Can we do this? Can we do digital? Okay, nobody's here to say no, so we'll just go do it. But yeah, I think in another, I think this conversation will start getting warmed up again in another 2 to 3 years when we start talking about the eventual successors?
Yeah, it might happen sooner than that, depending on what Nintendo does with that
That's true.
new console type situation, whatever route they go with that, or however they decide to do that. So it may come a little bit sooner than that, but
I would say I don't see it being fully implemented.
No.
I would say about 10 years.
Yeah,
it would take for it to be fully implemented.
It will. I do believe it is an ultimate thing, just maybe not yet.
We might be able to see a little flag wave.
Yeah.
Light at the end of the tunnel type of situation.
Flashlight.
Well, thanks for calling, man. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Good conversation.
Bye-bye. I know Chris is on the line now, and he's going to remind me, he probably will remind me that there is a store in Prattville where you can buy physical copies of these older games.
Yeah. That's true.
That may be what he has to say. Hey, Chris.
It's not really about that, but but it has similar. But I'm one of those that has a limited data plan, and the only way I can get internet is through Verizon. And right now, I have 30 gigs a month, and it's about to turn over tomorrow. But that's why major reason I collect games and stuff, because they all go digital. You're out of luck.
I mean, there are literally games right now that I could not get with a 30 like. Yeah. They are too big. The game itself, like a lot of MMOs, are just beyond 30 gigabytes for download. So.
God, do you remember what Force Unleashed was?
No.
I can't remember. It was some ungodly number.
Max Payne 3 was like 50 of those
something
gigabytes.
Like that.
Something like
I
that.
remember Force Unleashed
big.
or Force Unleashed 2. I can't remember. The download on Steam was just massive. Mm-hmm. It was like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, so I did not know you were on a cap. That's
I'm so sorry.
Hard for me to fathom.
That is really, really rough.
That's kind of disheartening, actually.
It'd be nice if the cable companies or any of the other people that provide internet like that would eventually get way out here in the country. But I don't ever see that happen, and I was hoping that would happen 5 or 10 years ago. But
that's something that they're actually. I mean, that's something that the executive branch is trying to force and fix. But it requires. I mean, there are political reasons why this is true. We would not have telephone lines out to every corner of America if they had not been forced to put it out there, to build the infrastructure. There was no real profit in doing it. And now we see with internet connectivity that a lot of these major carriers, they make a determination, and they're like, past this point, it is not worth the money to dig a ditch and lay cable. It's not worth it. I will never get a return on it. I don't care about these people out here. And that is ridiculous, because you're creating a serious division in terms of access to the internet. I know we're just talking about video games, but
actually there was a thing on Reddit a couple weeks ago. Guy wanted cable internet out to his house, and so he was like, hey, I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And so he paid $25,000 to have that whole area down that road for it to be done, and then the deal was that he got
I was gonna say, could he got
8% or whatever percentage of it was to their connections for the rest of his life. And I mean,
and that's great if you've got the $25,000,
and it was only a mile. It was just right at a mile, I think.
There are a number of stories of people who are on the other side of the road in rural Alabama. I mean, which is where we are, but
like a 10-foot.
Like you could make it from one house to the other with Ethernet, without any signal degradation, and they won't do it because they have to draw a line somewhere, or I'm sorry, they choose to draw the line somewhere. I also think that is going to change. We're in one of those places where people are just starting to make assumptions about what they ought to have, and everybody's generally kind of agreeing that if you can't get on the internet, that's a horrible thing. And I think theoretically in the next, I don't know, maybe 10 years, that's going to change. But it's a slow move. It's really, really slow to make that kind of stuff happen. And they'll have to be forced to do it because there's no real profit in it, unfortunately.
Well, thanks for the call, Chris.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry about your cap, man.
Oh, yeah, but on top of that, I can, the extended range of the 4G service with Verizon, I'm about 100 feet, almost 200 feet on the other side of the road where that ends, and I've got a 20-foot tower with an omnidirectional antenna just to boost the signal. It only boosts the signal by 1 bar, which I get maybe a megabyte or 2 megabytes at the most a second downloading anything, which is really slow. But it's a miracle I can even get that out here. But it's the way it is. But
well, for now,
I guess the underworld will freeze over before that ever happens, huh?
Yeah,
in a manner of
likely.
speaking, most likely, yeah.
Have a good
Y'all
one,
have
man.
a good one.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. Well, we only got a few more minutes left, and didn't get into as much Destiny.
You
talk
can,
that we
yeah.
were
It's
going to get
really
into.
hard to. I mean, we could spend some time. I don't know what you guys have said already.
We
I
said
certainly
nothing.
don't know what you got a chance to talk about last week. Just looking at the 2.0 patch, I will reiterate that it is now what it should have been.
Right.
In almost every measurable way. I cannot stress enough how better this game is with story, with dialogue, with voice acting, with it doesn't
writing.
take much. It doesn't need to be much. Everyone should be able to agree, if you're being at least somewhat rational, setting your own tastes aside, that the core, the way the guns feel, the actual shooting, the way that the heads pop off of the guys when you get a precision kill, the collection of all the abilities they've built into these individual character classes, tremendous fun. I like the loot. I like the core loot. I don't particularly care for the PvP, but I have been, I really should give it another stab because they have a lot of different options and things you can do.
I just want to get my marks.
I just want to get my daily marks, yeah. But that was always there, and it was always solid. There is a reason we sat there and fired into a cave for probably 20 cumulative hours.
Right, yeah.
Because it just kind of never stopped being a little bit fun. It was like, like shooting a glass bottle with a BB gun. It always resonated and felt good. And adding to that just a sprinkling, just a little bit of dry wit from a couple of the characters, a little bit of exposition between the meat of the game. You go here and you kill this thing. Give me 20 seconds of dialogue that paints the picture about why. There's no problem with brevity. Nobody needs a huge story. We don't need sweeping cinematic moments. Just a little bit of frosting between the cake layers.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we're asking for. And it wasn't even detectable in the previous game. And they've done an admirable job of digging back into what was already there and trying to insert some texture, and again, you'll never know that, but now there are story beats and there are quest progression directives, things that just help you mark out what you're doing and why. That didn't exist before. It was just like, so there's this area and there's this thing, and now it's dead forever, and there was no sense of why anything. There is some sense of it now, and Nathan Fillion talks nonstop. That's great. I think Nolan does a great job. Maybe some people preferred something else, but it's fine. It's fine. Now we need to see if they can get past the fact that this is what it should have been $60 and 12 months ago.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us in the chat room, as well as everybody listening on the stream and on the radio. Thanks everybody who grabs us each week from iTunes or however you get our show for later use. We do appreciate that. Head on over to ingamechat.net. You can join us on Twitter, Facebook, our forums at colonyofgamers.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our Twitch channel. And don't forget our Patreon page, patreon.com/ingamechat. If you're on Steam, we've got a Steam group you can join up with over there and play games with us and other listeners. Thanks everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next Saturday. Here's music from Mass Effect 3.